for Skylar. Hey, hey there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome back. It's another Red Pill Religion podcast. Red Pill Religion, where amongst the things we say is that nerd culture does not belong to political or religious ideologues, even though some of them have been trying to take it over. Also, as a sex abuse survivor with multiple sex abuse survivors on our team, we say false allegations are as bad as sexual assault. And I'll back that up as a sexual abuse victim myself, survivor, whatever word you want to use. So tonight we're going to be talking about Vic Mignogna. And before we get too into that, please remember, if you like the kind of work we do, please support our work here on redpillreligion.com. In these days of social media censorship, we're on our third channel now. We've been chased all over the place. We're trying to make it a new, fresh start with a better attitude in 2019. Please support and subscribe to our channel here on our new Red Pill Religion channel. If you haven't, please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe. Please hit that bell and see if it works. But remember, if we ever disappear, you'll always find us on redpillreligion.com, where we can also use your help financially and otherwise. You'll find links where you can buy our merchandise on redpillreligion.com, links to support us on Patreon. You're going to find us on PayPal. And also, please check us out on Subscribestar. We are on Subscribestar now. We are live on that. And you certainly get a first crack at suggesting videos and coming on streams if you become a Subscribestar patron. So we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to join our Discord chat room if you're a nerd who likes to talk history, science, philosophy, and that sort of thing. Yes, we're all from a red pill perspective, so hopefully you know what that means. Now, in the meantime, now that we're all settled in, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Tonight we're going to be talking about what we believe, I think almost all of us are convinced, are false allegations about, almost certainly false allegations against Vic Mignogna. I again will repeat, in case somebody tries flagging us for hate, I'm sorry, there's multiple sex abuse survivors on this team, and I believe at least two of us on this stream right now who are sex abuse survivors. So when we say we have severe doubts as to Vic Mignogna's guilt and what the real motivation here is, we aren't playing. But anyway, joining us tonight is our friend from the Philippines, Albrecht. Say hi, Albrecht.
The dragon of the East awakes.
Ha ha ha. And of course, our old dear friend, the nerd buddy, Minnesota Youngblood Ray. Say hi, Ray.
Greetings. This is the Demon Slayer, Youngblood Ray.
Also joining us, that crazy guy, Neffel. Say hi, Neffel.
Hello. I am definitely not plotting world domination.
Everybody be sure to subscribe to The Common Neffel channel. And finally, the person who put this together for us and really wanted us to do it tonight, and I'm all for it, is our friend Diva Night. I can never say Night. What's all the name there, Diva? Night Rose Goldsmith, is that right?
Yes, indeed. And hello, I am Diva, the residential singing vampire.
And we were supposed to be getting on Jean de la Rose tonight, the science fiction author, but he couldn't make it. He had to back out at the last minute. So we'll probably have to talk about this and other issues in the reasonably near future. So let's talk about this. Now, I got to tell you honestly, guys, I am not the world's biggest anime fan. I am not anti-anime. I don't hate anime. I just don't watch a lot of anime, if you see what I mean. I think that's partly an age thing and partly a taste thing. But I don't disparage anime, right? I recognize a valid art form there. It's just not one that usually calls to me. I've seen a few of the classics just to know a little bit, but it's not for me. So I actually really only know Vic's work through Star Trek Continues, which as a kid growing up in the 60s who loved Star Trek an awful lot, I really loved very greatly. And I know he didn't make a dime off of that production. Maybe got him some fan cred and some stuff like that, but he made no money on that. But Vic Mignogna, as I understand it, has been known for years as a really liked and respected anime voice actor. Sorry, correct? I mean, what's he best known for, would you say, Diva?
He is well known for Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. He is known for
My man!
Broly from Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball Z. He voiced both iterations of the character. He also has voiced Virgil Walsh in Trinity Blood, which is the anime that's closest to my heart. And he also voiced Tamaki Suo in Ouran High School Host Club.
Okay, and I seem to recall even I've heard here's his Fakepedia entry. No, we don't like or trust Wikipedia at all. He's quite an interesting guy. I also, you know, was interested to find out. Actually, this was a few years ago, but he's actually a pretty serious Christian, which is interesting. You don't find many actors who are out that way in Hollywood, do you?
No, you don't. Chris Pratt being a good example of such a man of character.
Yeah, him, Chris Pratt, and a few others, but they're few and far between, and tend to get picked on for everything I know, and quite a bit that I've read and heard, including from people who lived down there. And so this like, okay, here's how a lot of us see it. For example, I mean, he's being crucified in the press very, very suddenly and very, very quickly. That's one of the signs something's up, right? Vic Mignogna, again, about whom there have not been persistent rumors over the year, all of a sudden he's been let go from Funimation. I mean, just let go from Funimation, dismissed completely also from one or two other jobs too. Oh, from Rooster Teeth and from, I'm forgetting who else fired him, but basically most of his regular gigs, they're just firing him. And you see some publications like the Mary Sue, which, by the way, I'll just say is a terrible, horrible, bigoted feminist publication, is, of course, joining on the dog pile and not saying anything about whether the allegations are true or not, just saying this is all, you know. I love how the Mary Sue finishes this. They say, you know, as the investigations against Mignogna continue, it is also an opportunity for cons to examine what more they can do to protect fans, especially minors. The Mary Sue, which has to be the worst anime or nerd culture fans on the planet, the Mary Sue hates everything in nerd culture. They're one of the toxic feminist influences for the most part. And yes, I say that openly, toxic feminists. And already cons are being ruined by codes of conduct that make everybody feel uncomfortable and on edge. And these people just want more. Now, I wanna focus on this because Diva, in particular, you have known Vic to a certain extent, not like you live with him or call him on the phone every day or anything, but you've known Vic for a number of years, haven't you?
At least since 2011, I have known him. And every year I would aspire to at least see him once out of my year. At my luckiest, I would see him at least twice.
Okay. And how old were you when you first met him?
I was a senior in high school when I first met him.
So roughly 17.
Roughly 17, roughly 18.
Right. Okay. So you are a young nerd girl, at least at that time. And I would think that you would be ripe pickings for a sexual pervert at that point, since he's an older man and he's strong and virile and you just adore him and you just adore his work. Creepy guys or girls, by the way, but you know, he's a guy, so we'll say creepy guys will totally take advantage of a sweet young thing like you, won't they?
They would have, but Vic never did. And the first con I went to was accompanied with my mother, was so I could also have security and have a chaperone because I was still, shall we say, too young to start going to cons on my own. And top that off, for the next 3 years until I felt more comfortable in cons, I always had an adult supervising. And another thing about it is that he never once approached me in a negative way. He never came up to me in a creepy stalkerish fashion. He was professional, he was sweet, and he was kind. And top that off, the first time my mom met him, he ended up earning her respect. She could tell he was tired when we came up to say hi to him, and we were waiting 4 hours in line just to say hi to him. And he instantly earned her respect because he was just as polite and kind to everyone else before us and everyone else after we left. And another thing, his girlfriend at the time, Michelle Specht, was right there, and she said all of us deserved trophies for enduring a 4-hour wait just to see Vic.
I apologize. I was muted there for a moment. Now, some are going to say, quite a few people have come out in defense of Vic Mignogna. And some are going to say that defenders are all just scum. They're all just defending him, because they like him, because they're fans, because they're misogynists. That's what the Mary Sue will, of course, say. But nobody should care what the Mary Sue says. They're awful, and they're not real nerds either.
I've already been called an internalized misogynist before. I'm not surprised.
Internalized? Well, yeah, you'll be getting that. You'll be getting that. Any woman who's defending him will be getting that. But what are some of the?
Yet though, but I have been called that in the past.
Just it wouldn't surprise me. That's how feminists treat people.
Basically, well, if a feminist calls me a misogynist, I say, "Get back to the kitchen, you broad."
Now we have videos and articles that we've linked in the low bar. One of them that I think it may be worth pointing out is this one. The KickVic movement was built on lies, leaked Google Doc. I haven't had a chance to look at that Google Doc yet. Has anybody else?
Turned out.
I've seen.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I've seen bits and pieces of it from Twitter.
Albrecht, what did you see? Come on, tell us about it.
From what I've seen, it only proves what I've been saying all along, that all the bullshit against Vic Mignogna are built on lies because they want to get rid of him. They want to get rid of him because he's a Christian, a conservative, and a white dude who does not like the gay porn.
And he has gay friends. He's not an outspoken anti-gay guy. He's not. This much we know. What's in the document, though? I mean, what does it say?
Apparently, a lot of the SJWs have been conspiring to destroy him, his job, and his reputation.
And
also
adding
news networks there.
And to my knowledge, it all started after the success of the Broly movie. Feminists were angry over the fact that it was pro-gender norms or pro-male gaze, and everyone just blew off their claims, so they decided to hit below the belt by going after Vic. And what's worse is that Anime News Network was caught photoshopping photos of Vic with fans, saying that he was touching them inappropriately in those photoshopped photos, but the fans who were in those photos say that they not only got those photos by illegal means, aka they took them without the owner's permission, but they also took those photos out of context, and also the owners of those photos said that they're lying their butts off, and they're also doing this just to slander Vic, and took photos out of context just so that they could make a strike at him.
Okay. See, I think that's fun.
Go ahead, Ray.
It's funny because I think it's funny whenever you bring it up on Twitter, and I've brought this up other places, not on Twitter. I really don't go on there religiously, but whenever you mention that these people brought it up just because Dragon Ball Super Broly became popular, they always say, "Oh, well, that's just an excuse. We're not doing that because of that reason." Like, no, we found out. We actually did research, unlike you twats.
What have you been hearing in your circles, Neffel? I'm curious.
Pretty much the same thing.
it seems interesting because these allegations against him appear to be almost completely unsubstantiated. They seem to be based on rumors. I mean, do we even have a single person who's stepped up so far and say, yes, this you know, he did this to me in such and such a time? Has anything close to that even occurred yet?
No, we just have hearsay stories from people who may have known him in the past, but otherwise we have nothing. But that's all these people are hanging on. They're grasping at straws, basically.
But you and your sister have both known him, at least like as a fan would, as a close fan, as a regular fan, but you've known him as a close fan. You and your sister both, right? And your mom?
Yes. In fact, if my mom thought he was a predator, she would have outright told me and would have advised me to stay away from him. She did not do that. In fact, she encouraged me to actually see him and hang around him. Not so much hang around like close friends, but more like go and see him at cons, support his career, listen to some of what he had to say about the Christian faith, and listen to what he had to say about voice acting in general, because he was such an impact on me. And top that off, if he was such a predator, then why did my mom actually spend like 3 figures at minimum for me to go and have dinner with him during a Star Trek Continues fundraiser?
Here is, I mean, this, of course, that testimony on its own is not, you know, dispositive. Although, really, my experience, and I did work for a number of years in areas like sexual abuse, child abuse, sexual predation, domestic violence, that sort of thing. And usually a predator leaves a pattern and leaves a trail of victims. And usually, you know, if there's even, I mean, it could still be fake, but usually there's at least a group of people coming forward and saying, look, you know, this happened to me, or this happened to a friend. There's rumors I mean, I can tell you, for example, that no matter what you think of Bill Cosby, and I for one, have actually publicly stated, I don't think it's appropriate to prosecute a man in his 80s for allegations 30, 40 years old, for example. I just don't think that's appropriate in any way in the case of Bill Cosby. But, I mean, you can at least say in this case, I know because I've known some people in Hollywood, and it's like rumors about Cosby being a bad guy that way, about being dangerous about women, around women and such, have followed him around for most of his career. I mean, let's face it, he did used to go to drug parties at the Playboy Mansion. So the man's no saint. With Vic Mignogna, you have nothing like this. And you don't have anybody coming forward either. This man is being, not only does he have multiple young fans who have had no, you know, negative experience with him at all, even on, you know, regular repeat contact, but nobody else is coming forward either. And the man is being fired from multiple jobs based purely on allegation, anonymous allegation. There is no way that should be allowed to stand, yet it is, at least so far. Somebody was saying pre-show, though, that Vic is looking at suing some people.
He is. I'm glad that he's not taking this lying down.
No, he needs to not. It's an incredibly important thing. And as somebody who's worked, I've worked on false abuse cases, you know, false accusation cases, including at least one case where I came to think that the guy I was defending was guilty after all. And so I wound up dropping him. I've worked cases like this, you know, as a journalist, as an advocate, in a number of different, you know, activist groups, actually. And the flavor of this is pure witch hunt. There's like nothing here but allegations. And by coincidence, the allegations all started when he appeared in a very successful anime that feminists didn't like, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That feminists didn't like for no particularly good reason either. Which anime was that? Dragon Ball?
Dragon Ball Super, Broly, the film.
Right, Dragon Ball Super, Broly. And I mean, why didn't feminists like it again? It was just the usual drivel, right? Like
pretty much.
The usual
Yeah.
feminist cant of not, misogyny here and underrepresentation there and blah, blah, blah. This is why everybody hates feminists, by the way. And if you're a feminist, I'm sorry that hurts your feelings, but everybody hates you, especially in nerddom.
I'm a woman, and I can attest to this. I'm a woman, and I can't stand the modern feminist movement.
No, they're awful. The Mary Sue's awful. I mean, really, I don't care if even that sounds unchristian. Mary Sue, you're awful, and you don't belong in nerddom. You really don't. You're not real nerds.
Yeah. I want to add, they are hating a franchise that actually does have strong female characters.
I see that we've also got a link to Chambers of My Heart. She's got a 3-hour discussion on this. Did they come up with anything interesting there, or is this just worth looking for what anybody wants to know more?
I would say it's more like for something for basically the SJWs and the feminists all attacked the Risembool Rangers for standing up for Vic, and Chambers reached out to the Risembool Rangers to have them hear their side of the story, and also they bring up the allegations, and they also bring up how one individual, who I'm not naming, is trying to stir the pot, and just so because of the fact that she was supposedly a victim and she believe all women, and is a known what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, she's a known liar. And not only can Chambers attest to this individual being a known liar, but also Micah Curtis can attest to the fact that this individual is a known liar. And Micah Curtis did a video covering not only Vic's innocence, but I actually reached out to him and asked him and the Hat Man in another stream to talk about the false allegations against Vic. And just a note, Hat Man does not have a horse in this race, but he sides with Vic because these allegations are too well timed, and not only that, these allegations are proven false, but yet companies are still dropping Vic just because believe women.
There's nobody standing up and saying it was me. Where is that? What is that? Where's the evidence for anything other than that he annoyed feminists and was a good target? Because, of course, as a Christian in Hollywood, you'll be hated on and presumed to be a raving gay hater and all kinds of other things like that. And you will be subject to that kind of stuff. But that also seems to be the only reason anybody can find that they're targeting Vic. Because, he hasn't done anything. And there is no substance to these allegations. When somebody does step forward, maybe we can take it more seriously. But the man is being let go on allegation alone. And I see no evidence. I just, it's a witch hunt. That's all it is. Witch hunt.
And the thing that angers me the most is that certain voice actresses are backstabbing Vic just because believe women. One even went so far as to claim that she wanted his dick. And
believe women.
Yet she's not being let go from Funimation because even though she evidently violated their terms of service by sending a threat like that on Twitter for everyone to see.
Believe women requires us to have a woman, at least, if not two women, to believe in the first place. Where are these women? Where are they? Are they willing to step forward and put their mouths? I mean, really. And don't tell me that with the hordes of swarming feminists to protect them, they're just too afraid to come forward. I'm sorry. Honestly, do you know what? John De La Rose had a good article on this. I hope we can get him on another stream. He says it looks like anime falling into a Me Too trap. If you read the stories on IGN, if you read the story on Newsweek, if you read any of the stories, there's nothing here. Nothing here but allegation. It's disgraceful. And a man's life is being ruined. And of course, another reason why everybody hates feminists, they don't care whether he's guilty or not. They literally don't. And who really disappoints me is Rooster Teeth. I don't know, maybe we shouldn't expect Rooster Teeth. I've loved Rooster Teeth since frickin' what was that old Halo-based series that started?
Red versus Blue.
Red versus Blue. Yes, I've loved Rooster Teeth since Red versus Blue, and they've never seemed particularly political. Why would they bend on something like this? I can almost understand the bigger companies. Well, but they're a smaller company and have more to fear, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that kind of hurts me too, because I'm a huge RWBY fan, a lot of my friends, and now I feel like, you know what? I'm going to boycott them. I don't care anymore. I'm sick of all this stuff getting ruined over allegations.
Allegations alone. It's all it takes. Words written on the internet, words whispered around. Just to get a little Christian on you, that's not what we do here all the time, but if you look at the Ten Commandments, of course, there's actually two sets of Ten Commandments, depending on whether you're looking at the Eastern Church or the Western Church. But one of the most important ones is "Thou shalt not bear false witness." You guys heard that phrase, I'm sure, right? It's known as the Ninth Commandment.
Right.
And there's real significance to that phrase. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Now, a lot of the times we gloss that and we just kind of interpret it as thou shalt not lie, which, you know, by extension is the right read, but that Bible language is very specific. False witness. When you say someone did something and they didn't, when you accuse somebody who's innocent, when you make things up, that is quite often as bad as murder or theft or rape. You destroy somebody's life. You give somebody a false reputation as a sex predator. He might be lynched or beat up by vigilantes who just decided that, hey, he's a pervert. He deserves to be beat up. In this case, I don't think it's a danger for Vic to go to jail for anything. But I mean, false allegations can put people in jail where they're often raped themselves or killed, and certainly their lives are ruined. And their families are devastated. And false, I'm going to say it again, false allegations are often about as bad as murder. You murder somebody's reputation, you take out so much of his life and of all those around him.
And not only to get biblical myself, but one of the first cases of a false allegation was Potiphar's wife.
Potiphar's wife?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who Potiphar's wife is. I'm sorry.
Joseph's. Potiphar was the name of the Egyptian governor who owned Joseph.
Okay. You got me on some Bible there. I've read that too, but not recently. So okay, yeah, right there.
And I'm going to put it this way: these people need to read a book, and not just any book, a certain book, To Kill a Mockingbird, because
oh my God, that is such a great film. That is such a great movie.
I'm with you on
a great book, huh?
I am with you on that. We simultaneously saw it with the book in high school, but yeah, they need to look at that, look at the movie too, and listen, because that's where we're heading, where we're just going to start lynching people in holding cells.
To Kill a Mockingbird is, and To Kill a Mockingbird is one of the very rare cases where the book is fantastic and the movie is fantastic and nobody's got a complaint. Like, people who love the book love the movie, and people who love the movie love the book. It's one of those perfect, I mean, you know, the book's got more in it because you can put more in a book, but it's a fabulous book. It's a fabulous movie. Here's the trailer, the old official trailer of, you have Gregory Peck playing a lawyer who has to defend a man, a black man, I believe. It's been a little too long. A black man, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has to defend a black man who's been accused of raping a girl. And what's actually so powerful about the film and the movie, and the book, I mean, what's actually and so real about the movie too is that like real people in real life used to do, everybody understood the gravity of what was going on here. That if this girl was lying, that was evil. But if this girl was telling the truth, that man was an evil man.
Right.
And most seem to truly understand the gravity of that. You even had the children talking, you know, well, do you think he raped her? You know, and really having the conversation. And what's great is, you know, Gregory Peck plays the lawyer who defends this man. And you see that for defending this man, the whole family suffers too. You know, Gregory Peck does a magnificent job of also showing the gravity of the situation and standing up to people who, you know, think he is defending a monster, but he is standing on principle of the right to a defense and to the facts, which really the evidence against the man was weak, and his accuser had serious credibility problems, which they also show very well, without really, you know, demonizing anybody. It's pretty clear this man is falsely accused by the end of the film, and that Gregory Peck's whole family, you know, he goes by Atticus Finch. Atticus Finch's whole family is put through the ringer because he has the guts to defend the innocent. And I see that playing out all the time, even today. If you stand up for the falsely accused, if you stand up for the accuser, if you say someone is, especially of a crime like this, they immediately swarm all over you and call you a misogynist and a rape apologist and all that witch hunt stuff. Yeah, I think everybody at the Mary Sue, for example, or any feminist publication should be, if they're talking about this case or cases like it, they should be forced to watch To Kill a Mockingbird and required to do a report on it and a conversation on it. This is a book written by a woman, by the way, so and one of the best-selling books of all time, one of the best reviewed books of all time, written by a woman. You would think that feminists everywhere would want to embrace this author and her work and her seminal work, but they don't like talking about Harper Lee these days or To Kill a Mockingbird. So there, that was my long rant. Who wants to say something else?
Well, I wanted to come out and say exactly why I decided to do this and why I decided to do this, to organize the stream. I am, shall we say, taking off the veil. The reason why Vic Mignogna means so much to me and why I stand so firmly by his side is because, to me, he is the father I never had.
All right.
And that Vic inspired me to keep on living when I was living with my father. My father was that abusive relation that I keep mentioning in the chat. There were times he was a good man, but that would get overwhelmed by the monster that lurked underneath. So that, and the reason why I kept calling him my relation was because I didn't want to bring up past wounds. And also, I didn't want to be such a drama queen about it. But I have to talk about this because this, shall we say, warranted me revealing this. Vic inspired me to keep on living because seeing him smile and seeing how appreciative of his fans and being a good man along with being a good Christian, it inspired me not only in terms of my own morality, but in also my own faith. Were it not for him, I would have probably become a fundy atheist after what happened between me and my father.
Wow.
Vic was that pillar that was that focus in my life that kept me moving forward And the fact that these women are doing this to him, it's breaking my heart. And it's like watching the madness that my father suffered from overwhelm him, but in a different way.
It is heartbreaking. It is, because you know what else bothers me is that stories like this used to be like a permanent part of fan lore in things like Star Trek fandom or comic book fandom or anime fandom or you know, science fiction fandom in general. You know, actors and others, you know, sometimes being a serious inspiration to people. Whether it's good, you know, whether something you want to approve or not is not the point. It's been happening for years. I remember before he died, James Doohan told, you know, who had played Scotty. He died some years ago, but he told the story how, you know, he had befriended a suicidal fan. And all he had done for that suicidal fan was say, you know, I will see you at the next con, right? And that went on for years. And you know, that fan turned her life around. And you hear other stories like that all the time with the people who are real and genuine within nerddom. Because I'll tell you something, nerd culture used to be like that. Nerd culture was for oddballs and basically for gentle, kind, shy, socially awkward people to go and get together and find other gentle, kind, shy, awkward people who are into weird ideas and oddball stuff. And that's what nerd culture used to be. It used to actually be a safe space in a lot of ways. I hate to say that word, safe space, right? We're like a safe haven. Like, well, I used to feel like, you know, no matter what was going on, I could at least go and, you know, hang out with some D&D nerds or some animation nerds or whatever, and we could just talk about that stuff. And nerd culture was really an escape from a real world. And even that's been taken by these people. Miguel Sandoval in the comments says SJWs need to stop ruining anime. They need to stop poisoning everything they touch. Really, this is getting serious. Even when it gets to the left-right divide or the political conservative divide in politics, at some level, even if you're left of center or whatever, you've got to be able to look at this and say, no, we cannot tolerate a society that runs by destroying people based on allegations. And for being the wrong, you know, having the wrong beliefs or the wrong ideas. And it's epic. It's all over nerd culture now. They've reached all. I mean, this sort of thing has been happening in video games. It's been happening in so many areas. It's like the world is growing darker because people who are willing to badmouth others for fun and profit will do or say anything. At least that's what I see. So I don't know. Is there a light at the end of the tunnel on this? We do know that Vic is going to sue. I don't know who he's going to sue.
Well, it is filing for wrongful termination. That's at least one of the things that he is bringing up.
Oh, right. Well, well, you know what is really funny about that too? The thing is that in a lot of these corporate gigs, suing for wrongful termination may even be something that a potential an employer might like secretly welcome, because lawsuits can be settled very quickly and very cheaply usually, and that would give people like Rooster Teeth or whoever else has fired him, if they want him back, to say, hey, look, you know, he sued, so we got to have more reason to let him go, and then just bring him back. I don't know that it will be that simple, but let's pray. It can be in some of these, in cases like this. Sometimes I've seen, you know, you let somebody go, you say, I'll sue, and they look at it and they say, well, that, you know, oh, well, maybe we should talk, and maybe we should just bring you back. So, you know, we could pray that something like that happens. I do know that if you'll see me, I don't know if Vic will ever hear this, but I mean, you'll see me in a film called The Red Pill, which is actually about men's rights. And guess what? One of the most common things done to men that's wrong is false allegations. And Vic, the smartest thing he could possibly do is be complete. If he's done nothing wrong, I mean, if he's done something wrong, to be honest, he should admit it. But if he has not done anything wrong, he should not take anybody's advice to be quiet and be cool about it. He should be as not gracious about it as possible. Straight up, I'm telling him, both in the court of the public opinion and to get people to back off. If these people are lying, use the word lie and use it loud and say it a lot if they're lying. You know, if they're not, that's different advice. But if they're lying, Vic, you say they're lying. You call a liar a liar. You say this is scandalous. This is disgraceful. You be outraged. You be, you know, no way. Even if somebody comes forward with an allegation, if she's lying, call her a liar. Don't go into any of this. Oh, well, I don't want to hurt things. Oh, I take victims very seriously. Look, as a sex abuse victim myself, I got at least one other on here with me. Let me tell you, no, false accusers are as bad as rapists. Let me repeat that so I can hear, so everybody heard me. False accusers are as bad as rapists. And somebody who makes a false allegation should serve the same time in prison as the crime they accused somebody else of. It's that serious. False allegations are akin to rape. They have been all along. You destroy somebody with false allegations, and there's people who do it willingly and maliciously. I can only repeat again, there's a reason the Ten Commandments that old. Even if you're not a Christian, you got to realize that's a code of law how many thousands of years old? And it does not say thou shalt not lie. It says thou shalt not bear false witness. And that's because it's murder. It's theft of everything. You take everything from somebody. You can potentially take everything, including their life. Quite frequently, people have suicided over false allegations, or people have been murdered, lynched vigilante style over false allegations, or sent to prison based on false allegations and died there, got raped and then killed in prison. How about that? You want to go to prison? I mean, I'm not saying anybody's going to send Vic to prison, but I'm talking about how serious false allegations are. There are men we know, and women, but you know, it's mostly men this happens to. We know died in jail for rapes they didn't commit, and were frequently multiple times raped while in jail for a rape they didn't commit. Now, certain feminists will simply laugh at that and scoff at it, which just proves to you how vile the average feminist is. But this is serious. False allegations are as bad as rape. They are as bad as murder. They are as bad as the worst sort of theft. And they need to be confronted. And they need to be confronted vigorously. I'd even say that Vic has a Christian obligation to confront it vigorously, because if he goes down, everybody else is next. Really, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe in this climate until somebody stands up and others stand next to him and say, this will not stand. You have lied, sir, madam, whoever you are. You have lied. I have done nothing wrong. How dare you? That truly should be the attitude. And somebody like Vic might think, that's not my personality. Well, sometimes you're called upon. I mean, he's got to do what's in his own best interests, I suppose. But I would say he has a moral obligation to fight hard. So if there's any chance he's listening, I don't mean fight hard, buddy. I mean, fight hard like a lion. Fight hard like a lion. You're innocent. And it's not just, Vic, you're not just standing for you. You're really not. You're standing for the next guy who is subjected to something like this, and the next guy, or the next woman. And you're standing for the fans who believed in you and got hope and inspiration from you and always believed in you. If they will do this to you based on nothing but allegations, what will they do to others? What have they done to others? What have they done to people lower on than Vic on the food chain? Not being snotty, but what have they done to people lower on than Vic on the food chain? Somebody who just wanted to be a gaffer or a, you know, just wanted to get a chance to write a little screen copy. Maybe just get a chance to make a trailer for some movie or something, anything like that. How many people have been just destroyed in his industry at the lowest levels by this kind of vicious gossip? If he's innocent, I would seriously urge him, as actually I urge every man who's falsely accused, actually, but still, if he hears me, no, roar like a lion. You don't have to swear, but if they're I would say this: if she's a lion whore, call her a lion whore. And by the way, that's biblical language, so you can't fault me. So that's my rant. Does anybody want to add anything else before we close this up?
Just that I'm starting to notice the same thing with Chris Pratt too, because I know last week there was this whole thing Ellen Page was trying to get after him for a church he goes to, saying it was anti-LGBT. And I'm just going to say this now. If we don't stop this now, it's only going to get worse. We need to put up a front.
We do. And fans of anime and fans of Vic Mignogna, and frankly Christians, need to stand up and say there's nothing right about what's happening here. Stop with the cringing. Stop with the appeasement. You know what a witch hunt looks like. This is what one looks like. And it's not the first witch hunt of the last few years against an innocent man, and it won't be the last until more guys stand up and say enough is enough, and roar back at the howling demons, and laugh at them, and taunt them, and rebuke them with the harshest words possible, if necessary. This isn't about converting people to Christ, and this is not about salvaging your reputation. This is about fighting something that's evil. I'm just going to keep saying, false allegations, they're rape. False allegations are rape. False allegations are theft. False allegations are murder. And they cry for justice. A false accuser is the most wicked, foul thing there is on this earth. You might even be a more honest person if you genuinely are a murderer who uses the knife yourself. At least you're an honest murderer when you do that. You destroy somebody and drive them to the brink of suicide. You destroy them and bring them to the point of complete destruction of their careers and family. You're worse than the knife-holding thug, if that's what you are. False accusers. That's what a false accuser is. All right, everybody. Anybody else have a final thought, or should we close this down?
One last thing. Like I said, Vic Mignogna was the closest thing I had to a father. He was the one who inspired me. And to see feminists trying to destroy him is like watching my dad destroy himself. But except it's not himself doing this, it's others doing it to him. So the Me Too movement and the feminist movement have made a permanent enemy out of me because of what they've done to him. Call me an internalized misogynist all you want. I'm not going to stand by and watch as my father is hurt like this. He may not be my blood father, but he is the closest thing I had to one. And Vic, if you're listening to this, I will still stand by you and I will still support you no matter what happens. And I hope that you win these lawsuits against wrongful termination and slander.
All right, everybody, we're going to close it out now. We are going to be repairing over to the Max Dean Esme group channel. This is the Red Pill Religion channel. Go join our other channel, the Max Dean Esme group channel, where we're going to have a more informal stream on where we're going to talk about this and just talk about nerd stuff in general, our normal nightly bull session. We'll start that within about the next half hour. And here on YouTube, please give us a like and a subscribe. Please check out hashtag I Stand With Vic. Please get rowdy about this, especially if you're in nerddom. It's not just about Vic. It's not just about Vic. It's about the climate of witch hunts and hysteria, and that no man is safe when anybody can accuse you and destroy your life. No man is safe. Step up. Face the demons down. Roar like a lion. I beg you, Mr. Mignogna. Roar like a lion. All right, everybody. Like I said, give us a like, us a subscribe. Hit us on redpillreligion.com. Remember to drop a dime in the tip jar, or join us on Subscribe Star. We could really use the help. And God bless everybody.